morning. Is it still morning? I'm a 2-year-old, my first child, and I was blessed. My husband allowed me to stay home. It took us 8 years to get him. We tried and tried and tried, went through miscarriages and things like that, so it took us a really long time to get Christopher. And so when we finally got him, I attempted to go back to work for half a day, but I was super sad. And he was super sad, and my husband allowed me to stay home for 2 years with my baby. And so last October of 2019, I just went back to work full-time, and so I am brand new to the working wife and mother role. So I'm getting to the point where, I don't really know what day it is. I'm not really sure if it's morning. I'm not really sure. When it first started, I was calling my sisters and my aunts and stuff, and I'm like, is this what y'all been doing? Oh my goodness, this is a lot, So forgive me if I don't know what day it is, what time it is, but I like to say that we have been successful in our transition to mommy going back to work full time. And so I'm a social worker by trade. So currently, I am working as a child protective social worker, which is a lot of children and families, and we deal with a lot of really sensitive situations. And they tell you when you start the job that the building closes at 5, but I rarely get off at 5, and then I come home and try and talk to my husband and see how his day was, and the baby wants bananas and pizza, and and then he doesn't want the pizza, he kind of wants the chicken, but the pizza's halfway ready, and those kinds of things, and making sure the baby gets a bath and all that stuff like that. So we have, I would like to say, been successful in that, but I am still adjusting. Still adjusting. It hasn't even been a full 6 months. So I'm still adjusting to our newest trial, right? Because we're here today to talk about fire, the refiner's fire specifically. And so my auntie introduced me. My name is Kenya Pridgeon, and I am actually not the preacher in our family. I am married to a preacher and a pastor. And so, Pastor Joseph Pridgeon. And so on the flyer under my name, you see Sweet Spirit Inc., and then you see the Power Church. My husband founded the Power Church some years ago, and he preaches on Facebook, and he preaches in churches, in buildings, and we are on our way this summer into yet another preaching and pastoring journey. So we do have a preacher. Traditional preacher in our home. Hey! Thank you. That's all right. We do have a preacher in our home, but before the Power Church is Sweet Spirit, and Sweet Spirit is something that I erected a few years ago that I use as my way to do what I feel like God has assigned me to do. Amen. To project light, to protect light, to encourage people, and to just be me. To just be me and do what I do. And so I'm here representing Sweet Spirit and attempting to do some of the things that the Lord has called me to do. Amen. So I am here to speak on the topic and to talk a little bit about the refiner's fire. I appreciate the beautiful woman who came before me, how she set the atmosphere. I am married to a pastor, so I know a little something about setting the atmosphere, how important it is, and so I appreciate you setting the atmosphere. I appreciate the invite. I was talking to my mother, who's here in the back. They've got this new building, and the ministry is growing, and they were, this is their first conference, and I'm sitting on the phone with her thinking, and she picked me? What is she doing? For her inaugural conference? I was like, oh my goodness. So thank you so much, Terry, for thinking about me and for considering my spirit to be sweet enough and my walk with God to be authentic enough to represent your ministry. So I appreciate that. So if we can pray, we will go ahead and start talking, because I am not a preacher, so that is what we will be doing. We will be talking. So if we can pray first, we will go ahead and start talking. So let's pray. God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to gather on a day where the entire world around us is talking about not gathering, being afraid of gathering, talking about how gathering is going to make you sick. We thank you, God, for the opportunity to gather in the name of Jesus, knowing that when you gather in the name of Jesus, there is nothing that can harm you. We thank you for the freedom in this place. We thank you for being free of fear. We thank you for being free of following those that are doing things that are anti what we represent and what we stand for, God. So we pray that as we gather today, God, that you speak through me and that you speak to all of us, God. I pray, God, that something that you have to say through me, God, helps people. And I pray, God, for all of those, God, who are around us, God. We pray, God, that the Holy Spirit saturates this block. God. The Holy Spirit saturates this city, God. We thank you, God, for this building, God. We thank you for this ministry, God. And we pray, God, that you allow this small space to light up this block.
Yes, God, in the name of Jesus.
We thank you, God, for the first conference of many. We thank you, God, for the first gathering of many. We thank you, God, for your ability to overflow this building, God, and to work inside of this community through these, your people, God. God, we pray everything in the precious name of Jesus. We thank you, Holy Spirit, for your presence. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
So, we are talking about the refiner's fire. Now, I'm old enough to not know how old I am. I have a group text message with my best friends, and we always have to check, like, how old are we? And so I'm only 37, but I know a little something about fire, about going through fire, about coming out of fire. I have birthed a child after 2 miscarriages. I have been married for 10 years this year. Our first decade of marriage. My mother is in the audience. My Aunt Cynthia is in the audience. And so I know a little something about families and family matters. So I know a little something about fire. And so today I want to talk about the theme of the day, which is the refiner's fire, and what I took from that theme while I was praying and meditating and studying. And so when I think about fire, and fire particularly in the context of a refiner, I think that we have something to learn from fire, and from how the refiner uses fire. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit about the spiritual and about the natural. Okay, because fire that we're talking about in the spiritual, we attribute to trials, to tribulation, to testing. But fire is a real, actual thing. And fire in the natural is dangerous. It can be dangerous. Fire in the natural can be deadly. It can wipe out everything in its path. We've heard about the West Coast going through wildfires, wiping out entire blocks, entire neighborhoods. We know about fire as it relates to crime, arson, people burning down people's houses, setting fire to people's cars. The beautiful woman that spoke before me spoke a little bit about violence in families. I know a person whose house was set on fire while they were inside of it. And so fire can be dangerous. And fire is always fire. There's never a time when you're in the presence of fire that you're not in potential danger. However, as a civilization, we have learned how to use fire.
Right, right.
How to use it to help us.
Come
how
on,
to
come
use
on.
it to advance our
Come on, come on, come on, come on.
So we're around fire every day. Some of us are carrying fire with us right now. Lighters, matches, right? We use lighters to ignite things. We use matches to ignite things. Some of us, we're in the modern world, it's 2020 now, but I was talking to Harry Clark is in the audience. Hey, Pops, I call him Pops. Go way back. And we were talking about when his generation was growing up and when they had all their siblings in the home. And so back in the day, before we had these cute little apartments and townhomes that we have, you used to use fire to cook with, to light the pilot on the stove, And so we have learned how to use fire to be a help to us. But the same fire that we use to light candles is the exact same fire that destroys things in its path. And the only difference between a fire that is going to help my house smell good and light a candle and a fire that could wipe this building to the ground is purpose.
All right, come on, come on, come on. That's good. That's good. That's good. Come on.
Of the fire.
Yeah.
And you have a certain intent.
Come on.
That's the only thing that allows us to be in the presence of fire every single day and not be harmed is purpose and intent.
Come on.
Okay? So I want to talk about how God uses fire in the spirit realm and how when you are aware of the purpose of that fire and his intent for that fire, you can survive.
Come on, preacher. Come on, preacher. Come on. That's good. Set it up now.
We survive every single day using purpose and intent. Okay? All right, so I told you that I'm married to a pastor, so we are going to visit a few scriptures. I was laughing with my husband about this last night. We all have this virus on the brain, right? The coronavirus. And so, I think I was unduly influenced, but when I was studying for this message, I thought about C's. Okay, so I'll be using C's, be using alliteration. And I believe that God uses fire in certain ways to refine us. And when you can understand those ways, those purposes, and his intent for those, that is how you survive in the presence of that fire, and that is how you come out having that fire had been useful to you, okay? So one of the ways that I think God uses fire to refine us is to convince.
All right.
The beautiful woman before me was talking about Daniel 3:25. And in Daniel 3:25, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in a place where they did not worship God. They did not recognize God. But the Hebrew boys decided that they were not going to leave their faith. That's right. They were going to serve and worship the God that they believed in, no matter what. And they had an entire host of people looking at them. So when they got put in the fire, what happened was they wound up looking back. Do you see them? Are they dancing in the fire? Let's turn to Daniel 3:25. I'm going to use my phone because it's, 2020, I'm going to use my technology. I'm going to start Daniel 3. I'm going to start at verse 22. Since the king's command was so urgent and the furnace extremely hot, the raging flames killed those men who carried Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego up. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell bound into the furnace of blazing fire. Then King Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in alarm. He said to his advisors, "Didn't we throw 3 men bound into the fire?" "Yes, of course, your majesty," they replied to the king. He exclaimed, "Look, I see 4 men not tied, walking around in the fire unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods. Nebuchadnezzar then approached the door of the furnace of blazing fire and called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, "You servants of the Most High God, come out." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire.
Yes.
So
that's good. That's good.
The
That's
first C. Sometimes God uses fire to convince. To convince you and to convince the people around you that He is God.
Yes, 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 yes.
Sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you can't get out. They were inside of a furnace. And some of us have been through situations where you feel like you are inside of a furnace. There is no way to get out unless somebody lets you out.
Come on.
And you're not sure what is happening. Sometimes you're trapped inside of depression. Sometimes you're trapped inside of poverty.
Come on.
Sometimes you're trapped inside of domestic violence.
Come on.
And you wonder, how did you get there? And you believe in God and you serve God. Why would He drop you into a fire with no way to get out? But sometimes He drops you in a fire with no way to get out because there are people around you who need to understand that you don't have to get out sometimes. God can be with you in the fire.
Yes.
And when God is with you in a fire, sometimes people are watching you.
Yes.
Sometimes there are other people's marriages on the line as well. So
on,
they're watching you and your husband argue all the time.
Come on.
They're watching you and your husband live in 2 separate places. They're watching you and your husband not show up at events together. And when they see that you don't get divorced, maybe they won't get divorced. Sometimes people are watching you in depression. They're seeing you put on a strong face. They're seeing you take your medication, go to your therapist, whatever it is, but they're wondering, how is she still going to work? Depressed. How is she still raising her kids and washing her clothes? Depressed. Sometimes people have to watch you in the fire so that they can believe. Sometimes God is using the fire to convince people that He's real, that He's still here.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yes, Lord.
That's good.
And sometimes you just need to do what it is that needs to be done in that fire. Go through that trial. And when God lets you out, not only did you survive, but you changed the lives of all those people that saw you watching. When they threw them in the fire, they were just silly boys who believed in silly fantasies. When He opened that door, He said, "Come out.
Come on now.
Servants of the Most High God."
Yes, yes,
So sometimes God uses fire to convince. Okay, I want to go to Exodus 3. If you'll go to Exodus 3 with me, we'll talk about the next C. Okay, Exodus 3, I'm going to start at verse 1. Meanwhile, Moses was shepherding the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. Then the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame fire within a bush. As Moses looked, he saw that bush was on fire, but not consumed. So Moses thought, I must go over and look at this remarkable sight. Why isn't this bush burning up? When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called out to him from the bush, Moses, Moses, here I am, he answered. Sometimes God uses fire to communicate. There are times when we're in situations where we're far from God. There are sometimes we're in situations when we're close to God, but He needs us to get to another level.
Amen.
And God needs to communicate with us. We get real busy doing things. Moses was busy. He was leading his flock through a mountain. There's a lot going on. And God used fire to get his attention. When the bush was on fire but not burning up, Moses looked like, I wonder what's going on over there. And the verse says, when he came over, when God noticed him looking, that's when God spoke to him. Sometimes God's using fire to get your attention. Sometimes God knows that if your baby don't get sick, you won't pray.
Come on.
Sometimes God knows that if all your classes are easy, you won't pray. Sometimes your life is super chill. So something begins to go on in the life of someone you love. Now you need to pray for your mom. Now you need to pray for your spouse. Now you need to pray for your sister. Now you're figuring out that your friend is trapped inside of something that they need to get out of. And you find yourself spending time with God.
Come on.
Praying, meditating, thinking, praising God because you want him to pay attention to the situation. So sometimes God uses fire to communicate. If your best friend is going through, you're going to stop and talk to God. You're going to pray.
That's right.
If you get sick, if one of us started coughing in here right now, we don't need no order. We don't need no music. If somebody started coughing in here right now, we don't need no music. We will immediately start speaking the name of Jesus and attempting to heal. So sometimes when fire comes into your life, you need to stop. Pay attention to the fire.
Amen.
And maybe that is what God will use to speak to you. Have you ever been so upset with another person and you're praying, and maybe it's just me. But sometimes when I'm mad at somebody, my prayers sound like they need to get their life together. Can you please show them what they are doing? Can you please help them to figure this out? And when you help them figure out, can you tell them to, and God will stop you and start talking to you about you. About you. That maybe you need to get another perspective. Maybe you need to remember that you promised you would stay married to that person. Maybe you need to remember that you begged for that child that's giving you all that problem. Maybe you need to remember that you applied for that job that you can't stand to go to, with that lady that you can't stand to speak to. So sometimes those fires are there so that God can communicate with you. And when you begin to talk to him, when you begin to pay attention to those fires, he will begin to talk to you.
Yes, he will.
We need to learn to appreciate the fires. And the way to do that is to know the purpose of the fires and God's intent in those fires. I'm going to move over for the next C to Numbers 16. Number 16. Y'all excuse me if I move a little fast because I'm like digital over here. I got my phone, so it kind of zips over. Number 16, and I'm going to go down to the 25th verse. Well, let's start at the 23rd. The Lord replied to Moses, "Tell the community, get away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. He warned the community, "Get away now from the tents of these wicked men. Don't touch anything that belongs to them, or you will be swept away because of all their sins. Jump down to verse 31. Just as he finished speaking all these words, the ground beneath them split open. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, all Korah's people and all their possessions. They went down alive into Sheol with all that belonged to them. The earth closed over them and they vanished from the assembly. At their cries, all the people of Israel who were around them fled because they thought, the earth may swallow us too. Fire also came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were presenting the incense. Sometimes God uses fire to clear out things that are not of him. Sometimes there are things happening around you. Sometimes there are things that you are doing that God is not pleased with. And sometimes he uses fire to clear that stuff out. Sometimes God will put you in a situation where you feel like you're playing tug of war in your relationships. You're trying. All the coping skills that you know how to try. Let me call them. Okay, maybe I was texting her. She didn't really hear. He didn't really hear my heart through the text message. Let me call. Okay, that didn't really work out. We done hung up on each other. Maybe we need to meet for lunch. Okay, that's kind of like a little tense. I don't really know, you know what I'm saying, what's going on with that. Sometimes you need to let them people go. God can use fire to burn people out of your life. God can use fire to burn things out of your life. Sometimes you don't need to be attached to people. There are some things that you don't need to be attached to. There are some opportunities that we're holding on to till our knuckles get white. And God does not want you in those places.
Amen.
Maybe that interview didn't work out because he didn't want you to work that job. Maybe that situation didn't work out because he don't need you around those people.
That's right.
Sometimes he needs to clear things out.
Thank you, Jesus.
And he needs to move you out of the way. And he has to use fire sometimes because the verse said, them people was like, oh, we gotta go. Because if we stick around, it might get us too. Sometimes fire is what it takes.
That's right.
We've held on to relationships, opportunities, habits, right? You'll eat fried chicken every day, right up until you land in the hospital.
Come on with it. True.
You'll drink every night.
Yes.
Right up until you can't go to work the next morning, and now your livelihood is on the line.
That's right.
You'll lay in the bed with somebody, well, I don't know, if nobody else was in their 20s, maybe just me, okay. You'll lay in the bed with somebody every night. Right up until you feel like it's going to get you in some serious trouble.
That's right.
You're going to have to make a clinic visit that you don't necessarily want to tell your mama about. Sometimes it takes fire to get you out of a situation. Sometimes God has to scare you away from a place where you gotta feel like, I might lose my life if I don't get out of here. I might not be able to raise my children if I don't stop eating like this.
That's right.
I might lose my sanity. I might lose my ability to finish school. If I don't get away from this dude, he might get me pregnant.
Come on.
Sometimes God has to use fire to clear things out of your way. And the only way he was going to get you away from that situation is if you were afraid to get burned. Literally, if you messing with dudes you ain't supposed to be messing with, sometimes God will threaten to burn you in order to get you out of that situation because he needs you out of there. So we have to understand that when God uses fire, there's an intent behind the fire. And if you can understand the purpose, get your stuff and get out. You need to go to another part of town. The earth is splitting open. Fire is coming up. People getting burned up. We got to go. We got to go from that situation. We got to go from that friendship. We got to go from that relationship. We got to go from that job. We got to go from that opportunity, because that's not where we're supposed to be. And God is using fire to get us out of there. Okay? So sometimes God uses fire to convince. Sometimes he uses fire to communicate. Sometimes he uses fire to clear out. And if you'll go with me to 1 Kings 18. I'll get on up out of your way, because my auntie said that I had all the time I wanted, but I don't want to keep y'all too long. So 1 Kings 18. And I'm going to start at verse 36. At the time for offering the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet approached the altar and said, Yahweh, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, today let it be known that you are God in Israel, and I am your servant. And at your word I have done all these things. Answer me, Lord. Answer me, so that this people will know that you, Yahweh, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back. Then Yahweh's fire fell and consumed the burnt offering,
Come on.
the wood, the stones, and the dust. And it licked up the water that was in the trench. When all the people saw it, they fell face down and said, Yahweh, he is God. Yahweh, he is God. Sometimes God uses fire to co-sign.
Come on. Come on, co-sign.
Sometimes we are in the midst of a fire.
Yes.
And we don't realize that we were the ones that called the fire down. Sometimes you can't figure out why you can't stop fighting with your boyfriend, because you prayed for God to send you your husband and he ain't it.
All right. Come on, preach. Come on, preach, Doc. Come on, preach.
Sometimes you can't get along with that dude because you asked God to send you your husband.
Come on.
So he need to move old boy out the way.
That's right.
It's not him. You called that fire down.
Come on.
Sometimes you have prayed, God, I'm going to go for this job. And then we try to get deep and spiritual and say, but whatever you want, Lord, your will be done. However you bless me, I'll be satisfied. Be careful.
Right.
Because then you mess around and don't get that job. And when you were counting on getting a job by a certain time, and you've been to 17 interviews, and your bills are coming up, and you in a fire, and you don't want to borrow money from people, and you're not really sure how things are going to happen, sometimes you call that fire down. You ask God for his perfect will in your life.
Yes.
17 interviews and 18 no's later have birthed some of the most amazing businesses. Some of the best small businesses have come out of people being forced to create their own opportunities.
Amen.
Some of the most amazing ministries have come out of people being forced to separate and start their own thing. So sometimes you're in fire and you feel like nothing is working out for you because you called the fire down and God is co-signing something that you asked for. Stop asking God to make you more patient and then wondering why people keep frustrating you.
Come on. That's good.
Stop asking God to make you more anointed and then being upset because trials keep hitting you.
Come on.
This is fire that sometimes we call down. You asking God to be a millionaire. We scrolling all over Facebook and Instagram and we want to be balling. And then the bottom falls out of your life. You called that fire down, because what you don't know when you're scrolling on Instagram and Facebook and seeing people live their best life for 3 seconds is all the trials and tribulations that it took to get to what they got.
Right.
When you're asking for something that somebody has, you're asking also for what they went through to get it.
Right.
You can hit Facebook right now under Kenya Pridgeon. Me and my husband and my baby real cute in pictures. We have cried a lot of tears to be happily married for 10 years.
Amen.
You think you want what I got. When you ask for certain things, you're going to mess around and call down some fire that you might not be ready for.
Amen.
You have to understand how God uses fire and what his intent for that fire might be. And sometimes we're praying away fire that God has sent to help us.
Right.
If you want to keep working a 9 to 5, then keep complaining about the fire. You are counteracting your own prayers to God. You have asked God to elevate you. You have asked God to help you start this business. You have asked God to put you in a higher place, on a higher level. And as soon as the hell comes, the first thing you're doing is asking God to remove it.
Come on. Make it plain.
But what are you going to do when you get to the next level and you're not strong enough?
Come on.
What's going to happen? How are you going to stand in front of all your friends and family and promise God that you're going to stay married to somebody forever, let the minister tie up some pretty little cords and wrap them around y'all and blow out candles, and then think that you're never going to argue in your marriage? Nothing's ever going to try your marriage?
Come on.
That's fire that you called down. How are you going to ask God for freedom and then be upset when he starts showing you the things that have you bound?
Come on. That's good.
Some of us are silencing God. Silencing the answer to our prayers because we're afraid of the fire. But in the natural, we know better than to be afraid of fire that we know how to use.
Right.
There's fire in this room somewhere. There's a lighter in this room somewhere. Are you scared?
No.
No, because you know what to do with a lighter. You know better than to hand a lighter to my 2-year-old because he don't know what to do with a lighter. You know better than to flick a lighter and set it to one of these curtains. It's going to burn this place down. There's a kitchen in here somewhere. We're not afraid that there's fire in this building. We know that fire helped to prepare lunch. And when we're not cooking on stoves, we cut them off. Know that God is not afraid, nor should you be afraid of the fire in your life. He knows what he is doing with the fire.
That's good.
God is using the lighter to light the candle in your life. Know that he is not going to set the rest of the building on fire. He is going to use the fire for what he intended the fire to be used for. And if you can figure out that purpose, not only will you survive, but you'll come out better.
Amen.
Everybody want to be gold. Nobody want to be tested.
Wow. That's good.
Everybody want to be a diamond. Nobody likes pressure.
Come on. That's good.
If you're not willing to go through, you're not going to be able to get a lot of the things that you want.
That's right.
And we have to know that fire has its purpose, and it's not something that we're ever going to be able to get away from. How many kids do you want? It took a lot to get him through my body. I can't wait to do it again. Sometimes that pain, that fire is the only way to get to what you want.
That's right.
And when you want major things, you have to understand that you are going to go through
Major things.
major fires.
That's it. That's the truth.
Major fires. And you have to learn to be ready
That's right.
for the fires. It's the only way. And in the natural, we're not out here trying to avoid fire.
Right.
You would look at somebody silly if they said to you, I want a child, but I'm not trying to go through childbirth. Do you want a child? Really? Well, I don't know any other way to tell you to get a child. And we don't discourage people from getting pregnant, do we? No. We think it's wonderful. We have baby showers and singing seeds and all of these things to celebrate the fact that somebody is about to go through 7 to 27 hours of pure hell.
Come on, you talking right.
And we bring them all the presents. We spend all of our money. We show up and we decorate the room. And when they give birth to the baby, we want to see the baby. You have to sit with a mother to understand what she went through in order to birth that baby. But when you walk into that hospital room, you're looking for the bassinet.
True.
So why in the spirit realm are we so afraid of fire? Are we so anti-fire? We need to start learning how to celebrate the fire that's about to come.
Come on,
You praying to be elevated? You praying to go to another level? Start celebrating. Same way you would prep for a baby shower.
That's right. Amen. Thank you,
Some of y'all got here this morning. You prepped last night to wake up early. There is nobody that don't love they sleep on a Saturday morning. If you got something to do early on Saturday morning, you just prepare on Friday night. These are things that we do on a regular basis in the natural. And we have to understand in the spirit realm that the fire is coming and we just need to prepare. And we need to start being excited. If you asking God to send you your husband, start getting ready to dump some folks, to fight with some folks.
Come on.
You're asking God to put you in a relationship that you have to commit to for life. So start getting ready for God to test your level of commitment on several things.
Come on. That's right. Girl, you talking right. Talking right.
You're asking for a business. You're asking to be a millionaire. And you can't stop yourself from going to the corner store.
Jesus.
Start looking for the fire that is going to teach you how to manage money if you want to be a millionaire. Start looking for the fire that is going to teach you discipline if you're looking for the next level. If you can't eat baked chicken rather than fried chicken for 1 week, do you really think you're strong enough for the level of discipline that you're asking God for to be a millionaire? Some of y'all want entire ministries and have yet to show up to work on time. You tardy every morning,
My God. Come on.
but want God to give you an entire ministry.
Help us, God.
How you gonna get the keys to a building and let other people in? They out there waiting on you because you didn't learn how to get to work on time. These are simple things. Simple things, okay? Remember that the refiner uses fire to convince, to communicate, to clear out, to co-sign. He is using the fire in your life. This is a conference, so I want you guys to take a little bit of time and think about the fires in your life. Think about the things in your life that are making you uncomfortable, that are burning, that you want to get out of. And I want you to flip your perspective on those things and begin to think about the purpose of those things and God's intent for that fire. Is he trying to convince you or the people around you that he is God? Did you go to a family reunion last year and wish that your family members were serving God, and then all hell broke loose in your life and you stopped talking about your faith? Is he trying to convince the people around you? Is he trying to communicate with you? Is he trying to clear some things out? Did you ask him for something? Is he trying to co-sign? Begin to change how you look at the fires in your life. This morning, I threw up. I had a migraine so bad this morning that I threw up. And then I had a migraine all the way to Rocky Mountain. But last night, my husband and I prayed that this speaking opportunity would help somebody. Amen. That even though I am not the preacher of the family, that God would use me and my gifting and my anointing to help somebody, that God would use me, that God would speak through me. Yes. So when I woke up this morning with a migraine, I got in the shower, I got dressed, I got my baby ready. I literally threw up and then peeled a banana for the kid, because I knew that that fire came from my cosign. I asked God to bless this moment with us. How could I expect to wake up the next morning feeling amazing with no attacks? Nothing was going to happen? No, because I asked for God to move. There are places today that are giving things away that don't have as many people as this building has in it, because people are scared. People are scared to get sick. And look at these seats almost full. For not one, but two non-preachers. You didn't know what to expect when you came out. I didn't know what to expect when I stood up. But I prayed last night. I endured the fire this morning. And I hope that it was worth it. And I pray that as you move through the rest of 2020, because things are on fire, I hope that you have a different perspective on the fire. And that the next time you encounter it, you stop and think about God's purpose for that fire and his intention. That's all I got. Glory to God. Did you get anything out of that? Amen.